Welcome back to Honest Game Perspectives, the show where we play games, talk about what's good, talk about what's bad, and see if it's worth your money or more importantly, worth your time. So, I never really played Death Stranding when it first came out. I saw the trailers, the memes, the debates, and for whatever reason, it just never really pulled me in. Maybe it's because it was originally released on PlayStation 4 and it did get its PC port about 8 months later. And somewhere between then and now, I got a free copy of it through Epic Games. I don't remember how, when, or why, but I always remember seeing it in my library. And a few weeks ago, I decided it was finally time to give it a shot. I really didn't think make the connection that Death Stranding 2 was coming out this year. I thought it was coming out much later, but turns out it's coming out pretty soon. So it's kind of fitting that I got to play the original one now. And I will say I didn't finish it. I did not finish Death Stranding 1, but I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with what I did play of it. It's one of the strangest, most unique things I've ever experienced. I don't even know if I'd call it a game in its traditional sense. It felt more like a fever dream, like something that's easier to feel than explain. And I know I'm not alone in thinking that. I think a lot of people sort of shared that um, sense whenever they talk about that game. It just was hard to express it. And I find myself in those very same similar shoes. Kojima is back and he's clearly not holding back. The trailers, everything about this new game looks like it's everything from Death Stranding 1, just bigger and better, as a second game should be with any sort of video game. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that IGN recently did a breakdown video of the second game. They had about 30 hours played so far. And I just wanted to give a warning that they said that the trailers for Death Stranding 2 sort of spoil a lot of the game if you could put two and two together. So, for fear of not doing that, I will not be revisiting those trailers as I don't really remember them because, like I said, when I watched them, I wasn't really excited for the game. So I don't remember that, but also because I just don't want you guys to get spoiled or anything like that too. So most of the gameplay and footage from this game will be from the first one. And so I just wanted to get that out of the way now if you're wondering why the gameplay looks like the first one. The sequel has a little bit of a longer title than just Death Stranding 2. It's officially going to be called Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, and it looks like it picks up years after the events of the first game. Sam is a lot older, noticeably grayer, and it just looks like time has sort of aged into the progression of the effects that were happening in the first one. Now, what we have heard from interviews and quotes from Kojima is that he said this game is all about rebuilding the world from scratch. Now, in the first game, the world was broken, and your job was sort of to just kind of connect it all together and make it a little bit more connected, pun intended. But it seems like the connection has failed, or something bigger and darker has risen, which has caused you to sort of have to do the whole thing again. Now, what is interesting with the gameplay and footage of this game that I have seen, it really does seem like they're just really expanding on the things that worked in the first one, but it also seems like there's going to be more combat, which I think is a big thing people said the game was missing. While I did only play the first one for about 12, 13 hours, I will say the combat was something that I did feel like maybe was missing. Although the more I think about it, the more I do wonder that if it was a heavy combat game with the perspective of, the third person view where you kind of walk around and combat and attack, that just gives like Last of Us or Uncharted or God of War. Like it just kind of fits into the genre, which is so oversaturated now with good games, but still oversaturated. So I think maybe that might be a little bit of wanting something that maybe you don't really want. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Something else I want to mention is, as I said, the footage on screen is all from Death Stranding 1. And believe it or not, this game is 6 years old. When I played this game for the first time a couple of weeks ago, I was taken aback that the game was that old, so to speak, and it still looked in the way it did. On my ultra wide monitor, it looked incredible and it felt like a very, very well polished world. So the fact that Death Stranding 2 gets to come out 6 years after that, when the technology has no doubtably improved and gotten better, I am very excited for. Death Stranding wasn't for everyone. It wasn't fast paced, it wasn't explosive. It was a slow, strange, and deeply personal experience. But that's why it stuck with so many people. It forced you to feel something about connection, loneliness, effort. It turned the simple act of walking into something so profound. And I think Death Stranding 2 is going to expand on that even more. So that's where I'm at. I didn't finish Death Stranding 1, but it's left an impression that still lingers. And now, with Death Stranding 2 on the horizon, I'm more than ready to dive back in. If you're excited too, let me know in the comments as we keep this conversation going. I'm really excited to see what this game has and what your thoughts are. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.